Last week, Bloomberg published that Peru was the fourth best emerging country to invest in. The World Bank has concluded that 60% of the Peruvian population belong now to the middle class. A survey amongst Peruvians showed that 63% of us feel happy. We have an unemployment below 6%, foreign debt below 20% of GDP, and we are holding foreign reserves of about 35% of GDP. We produce over $300 billion in GDP with an inflation below 3% and growth sustained over the past 20 years above 6%. My name is Manuel Sotomayor, private businessman in the fisheries and real estate sector. Back in the early 90s, I was in my early 30s owning a prosperous fishing business. At the time, more than 70,000 Peruvians were killed by the shining path. We had an accumulated inflation for the period 1985 to 1990 of 2,178,000%. We had only $100 million in foreign reserves, and unemployment was rampant. Also, almost 60% of the Peruvian population were poor. I have given you a set of facts. Those are numbers. I can easily say 70,000 people dead, but if you take a moment to think what this meant for this country, then you will start to realize how difficult it was. At the time, I had to go through the streets in Lima surrounded by 8 bodyguards. We had an average of 60 terrorist bombs planted every day in Lima, the main city. The Shining Path was savagely killing farmers in the highlands. We were fighting a war. We were fighting a war in a context of economic collapse caused by mismanagement of our economy. During 1990, a new president got elected, President Fujimori. We had, as private sectors, to get deeply involved in the reform of this country that has led to the numbers I showed you at the beginning of this presentation. All of these reforms, which basically amounted to removing all kinds of artificial distortions of our economy and letting the force of the markets work, were able to be done only because there was a political decision by the president of the time to let the private sector engage in the reform of the country while he and his government took care of the politics and safety. The task at hand was to beat inflation, which was successfully accomplished within a year. Then to make government live within their means. That meant stopping all kinds of subsidies, reducing the government's payroll, and getting government out of money-losing ventures. In other words, privatize. Once the economy was stabilized, this was accompanied by the capture of all the top commanders of the Shining Path, thus bringing in 1992 peace to the country. This peace brought optimism, which had a lot to do with the recovery of the nation. Next, we had to make sure that all of these reforms were carried on regardless of the governments to come. In order to do this, top of the list was to sign as many foreign trade agreements as possible. Today, Peru has 97% of its trade, global trade, under free trade agreements. The pension reform was also extremely important because it is now in the hands of the private sector as well. Today, becoming a developed country is finally within our grasp. Thank you very much.